Hello guys, Spear. Since the Final Fantasy VI Colette has dropped, I've been getting a few questions on how to build the weapons for these characters. So for these characters, building their weapons is a bit easier because the soul that are provided with the units are quite useful and pretty straightforward. So let's start with Terra. So if you're fighting the enemy in Hell-based fight, I would recommend building a stalwart Hell Tome. So using this, I would slot for both of the golden slot with her damage cap up souls. So these are the moon souls. And then I would use the mighty magic soul to reroll until you get around 45 or above magic stat. And then you can refine this further using the cascade shards to get it to 50. And then after that, for the silver soul, I would use it to increase the efficacy and potency against hell-based fiends. So this is the soul weapon I would build for her. And then if you're fighting an enemy in heaven, I would recommend a brilliant tome. So again, all in damage cap up. And then for her damage cap moves, I would use for Riot Blade, but most of the time you would use her ultimate as her damaging skill, so it's perfectly fine. But if you're fighting an enemy in the overworld, I would recommend building a cosmic tome. So if you want more detail on how to refine a cosmic weapon, I already have a video on that on this channel. But essentially, if you want to build a cosmic tome for her, it will be damage mighty magic soul in the first slot, and then a golden mighty magic soul in the second slot. And then after that, I would go for one of her skills. Like for here, I'm using Riot Blade, and then the remaining skill set, I would use a damage cap up soul, which is her moon soul. Again, if you need more help and assistance on how to refine brilliant and cosmic weapon, there's a video on this channel on how to do that. For Edgar, it's going to be a complete different case. So you will build two different fortune spear for him. One is which is going to be a defense-focused fortune spear, and the other one is going to be a special defense fortune spear. So you obtain the fortune spear by playing the game board, and then you exchange the power medal to obtain the lance of fortune, and then after that you can refine it to increase its stat. Then you will slot in respective rune or souls into them. You obtain these runes by playing again the fortune board, and then you slot in either the bewitching defense soul or the bewitching spirit soul. Again, you obtain this by playing the fortune game board, but this time instead of exchanging the power medal, you will be exchanging the wealth medals. It is important to use this fortune weapon on Edgar because when he uses his ultimate, part of his stats, both defense and special defense, even from his weapons, transfer onto your allies, and then they basically go into their attack stats. So basically, Edgar is basically buffing your allies along with the debuffing the enemy using his ultimate. So it's very useful, and I would really encourage using these fortune weapon on Edgar so your comps get the best out of him. And just a little recap where you get this bewitching defense soul and bewitching spirit soul. So you play the game board, and then once you acquire enough wealth medal, you go to the wealth medal exchange section, and then you go to the bewitching soul fortune box, and then you can exchange a few of them, and then after that you will get the bewitching defense soul and the bewitching spirit soul, and then you can use your soul shard to reroll until you get a high rune on these fortune lances. Lastly, for Locke, it's a similar concept to Terra, but you just swap what is magic to what is physical. So for Locke, I would use a stalwart knife for him, and then I would reroll the void power soul. And on the stalwart weapon, you can see here I reroll for a high 45 on the rainbow void power soul, and then I use a cascade shard to get a polished tone and then refine it to a perfect 50. And then for the silver slot, I just reroll for the blissful brutal sword for an increased damage to hell fiends. So, and then for Locke, when you get him as a character, you get his moon souls, and then you can slot for a perfect 50k on damage cap up for both of the remaining slot on the stalwart weapon. And then if you're fighting a heaven-based fight, then I would use a brilliant knife. So for a brilliant knife, I would use this one. So for both the Moon Soul, I would slot his damage cap up. And then for one of the Rainbow slot, I would use Barrage because that is one of his best skills. And then I would slot in a Guardian Hero Soul. For more detail on how to get the third soul, please refer to the previous video that I showed in my playlist. Then, if you're fighting any enemies in the overworld, I would recommend using a Cosmic Weapon. So for the Cosmic Weapon, it's going to be this one. Yep, it's this one here. It's very similar to how you would make a Brilliant Weapon, but here you would slot in the first slot would be a Rainbow Void Power Soul, and then for the second slot it will be a Gold Void Power Soul. And if you want more detail on how to refine a Cosmic Weapon, again refer to the previous video that I recommended. And then for the attack slot, I would recommend again Barrage, which is his best skill, and then the last slot would be his damage cap up soul. So I hope that this very quick and short tutorial will be helpful to everyone in designing the right weapon for Terra, Edgar, and Locke from the Final Fantasy VI collab if you have them. I hope you find this tutorial useful, and please drop a like and have a nice day everyone.